Welcome back to the channel, IndigoAngel. Come on into this dimension and come on into an energy update where we have a lot to get into. I'd like to put out a call, a sacred call to June 15th, 2025, as I do feel that this is going to represent the day after tomorrow. This is going to be the day after the rising escalation critical point advantage essentially is played out and through entirely, and we get to the other side essentially. It's going to be a day that we need to unite for global grid work. It's going to be a day that investing in a sacred mission where the collective healing will be exalted like never before is probably one of the most important and imperative things we can do at this time. So I'm really calling you guys to join me right now. Everything is lighting up in the grids. Everything is essentially showing us what needs to be restored and where it needs to be healed and where it is fractured and where it needs to be repaired. And the energy right now is absolutely electric. And our planetary grids are flaming with the holy war codes, the civil war codes, the forest breeder programs, and the shadow of the AI superintelligence, in which is fueling humanitarian defiance leagues of doom and all of the archons, all of the leagues of the archons. So we are essentially in unprecedented times, and a moment of mass awakening is rolling out at a massive speed across all of the lower dimensional Earth timelines, 1D Earth, 2D Earth, 3D Earth, 4D Earth. The Earth right now is trembling with change. And so the Soul Collective is being called to rise. And I ask you all, are you ready to answer that rise when the grid worker soldiers of light have to come forward? So the events that are unfolding nationally and globally up to June 14th at this time are absolutely seismic. They are absolutely political upheavals, social unrest, spiritual battles that are igniting the grids. Really, all of the symptoms of the preparatory investments that the deep state has made, symptoms of what their agendas and initiations are. And underneath it all, on a grid worker level, we have the San Andreas Fault in California, feeding the Great Pacific Wormhole, and the Great African Rift in South Africa, where humanity's deepest separation wounds have resided. And we are being summoned right now to heal the planet's spiritual architecture. I'm getting the messages that the fractures are really deep within all of us right now at this time, that the fractures and the fragmentations and the levels of the layers of this have really weakened humanity to a point of not feeling like they're strong enough to be impactful or contribute to healing and change in any way. The collective soul body of those in the Indigo and Starseed lines, like it has really been beaten down. And so this is the adversity and what we're being met with at this time. Is that separation, that fragmentation that you're feeling inside yourself? This is all about harmonic dysregulation. Everything essentially in the timelines currently are out of state with harmonic resonance. And so we're having to overachieve to attune ourselves and overachieve to attune the collective manifestation fields. But we have to remember our power here, and we have to remember that these rifts that we're dealing with aren't just geological, they're stress factors of the collective fall codes. They're stress factors of the cataclysm of humanity's trauma embedded in the Earth's race morphogenetic field and the cellular structure of all biology. It's in the water. It's in the rivers, it's in the lakes, it's in the earth, it's in the sky, it's in the air we breathe and share from the greatest point of grief in the Amazon rainforest, right? This goes everywhere globally, simultaneously to all points of existence. But this is our moment to come together, to harness the collective thought manifestation field and to purge that great divide out and to create new timelines of harmony and unity within that. Just take a nice deep breath with that. I'm sitting outside right now while the clouds are literally just rumbling behind me, and it is raining, and I don't know if you guys can see it or if you guys can hear it, but I feel like that rumble is what is running on a subtlety level through the shared national grid. And I'm seeing signal pulses coming from the Georgia Guidestones. I'm seeing signal pulses coming from Charleston, South Carolina. I'm seeing signal pulses coming from the Bermuda Triangle. I'm seeing signal pulses coming from Area 51. I'm seeing signal pulses coming from secret military facilities all the way leading into California, leading into San Diego. They're running the war codes through the 33rd parallel. We've talked about that on my last update. Please go back and watch that last update if you haven't watched that yet. I highly encourage you because it's very in depth of everything that's happening. So you can see it on the map. You can really truly see where these signal pulses on an energetic level of ley line weaponry and artificial weaponry that's being used against humanity, according to the reality spheres and the bubbles and the beast machine weaponry that's being used against humanity. But I want to talk about what is planetary grid work. And I think this is really important because if there's anyone that's new to my channel, um, I want everyone to understand how we can make a difference by tapping into grid work. So if you're new to my channel, just be sure to hit that like button and drop a comment and let me know if you're new to my channel. And let me break it down for you a little bit about grid work, why I talk about this so much, why we're being called right now to require our preparations, our spiritual preparations. We're being called right now to remember everything that we've learned up until this point, everything that we've remembered awake. And that's something that many of us have been privileged to awaken within our planetary shamanism, within the memories, within the culture of Lemuria, within our ancient eternal self. Planetary gridwork is like the sacred art and sacred evolutionary spiritual technology that is actively aligning, healing, clearing, extracting harmful harmonics out of the Earth's energetic holographic architecture. Picture the Earth. As you know, the Earth is living. You know, the Earth has a Schumann resonance. You know, the Earth has a heartbeat. You know, the Earth has chakras. You know, the Earth has a womb. You know, the Earth has a race morphogenetic field. You know, the Earth is simultaneously hosting us and we're existing in and through the Earth. It is a living being. But picture the holographic living fabric that holds it together, that's invisible to the regular eye, it's invisible to the naked eye. There is a living energetic current that allows one to tap into that, to tune into that, to really go deep and actually see it within you as you awaken all of your inner spiritual holographic anatomy on a biospiritual level, right? You tune into your universal tree of life, you tune into the flower of life, you tune into the Merkaba, if you visualize or work with this, you tune into the seed of life, you tune into the quantum layers that allows you to experience those vortices, those rifts, those stargates, those chakras within you. That is your architecture. Visualize and picture the earths coming alive, crisscrossed with the ley lines, the vortex points, the stargates, and all of the crystalline networks. These are her spiritual data lines, okay? Her memory fields, where her life stream highways, contain all of the information we need to know as 12D light body holders. Okay, 6D light body holders and above. All of this anatomy holds the story of humanity's evolution within it, therefore holds all of the trauma within it and all of our divine blueprint. Okay, so everything that's currently happening on the grids right now is holding that trauma in the land. We can access the healing. We can bypass the humans and basically go to the core of where everything is actually playing out on a subtlety level within the Earth's body. Understanding gridwork is planetary, like acupuncture in some way. It's precise, it's powerful, it's transformative, and it works within the one tool that we all have to bring up forward collective change, and that is collective thought, collective groupthink, meditation, all of these things, right? Prayer, light body technology, sacred ceremony, light language, spontaneous connections with elemental forces, ancient guardian races and ancient guardian spirits in the planet, such as Pele, the Pleiadians, the Syrian councils. I say all this actually with a sense of urgency, and I really want to emphasize the stakes. Why now? Because we're at a planetary crossroads. Okay, we're dealing with centuries of negative ET invasion, dealing with centuries of colonialism and victimizer programs, centuries of basically human farming. I mean, the human farming industries. Everything that the deep state wants to force their hand by doing things like the forced immigration, the wars, the environmental extraction. All of this that we're seeing play out has wounded the Earth's field deeply. Like there's a lot of wounded, fractured places within the Earth. Okay, because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not there and it's not happening. Every battlefield, every genocidal site, every enslaved coastline carries a density in the grids that must be transmuted. For example, and this is why I keep bringing up the San Andreas Fault, a 750-mile fracture, isn't just a tectonic rift, it's a spiritual rift feeding a wormhole of chaotic energy off of the coast of California in the Pacific. Similarly, the East African rift stretching 4,000 miles mirrors humanity's deepest wounds of separation, amplified by centuries of conflict in the region. The holy wars, right? The modern forced breeder programs. You know, I've always said where the women are abused, this is where the root of evil is. Where is the greatest rift out on the planet? It's in Africa. This is where the depth of the exploitation to modern resources of reproduction and wars is manufactured. So all of these rifts are portals of pain. They're opened up to the inner earth gateways and they're opened up to the hell realms. They're opened up to the greatest separation of humanitarian's wounds. But they're also gateways that can be healed. And this is the power of gridwork. This is the power of it on a planetary level and a personal level is we're working directly where everything needs to be worked on. It's strategic. It is intelligent. It is not just about saving like humanity, saving the planet, saving ourselves. When we gather, we reclaim those vortices under the divine creed, okay, the divine intelligence, the divine order, the divine blueprint, the divine plan. We reclaim the vortex. We seal a broken ley line system. We seal a rift. We collapse down a parasitic wormhole. We are altering the current of reality. We're actually doing that. We're witnessing the greatest spiritual warfare on the planet, but Not the kind that's really rooted in fear. No one actually really has fear right now because we know that this is going to lead to peacemaking, frequency anchoring, uh, harmonic convergences that will essentially bring back divine remembrance. And every ceremony is a soul retrieval. We're rewiring our DNA through the grid work itself as well. Okay, and that corrects the field. It stabilizes the grid field around us. And it continues to work on the greater whole of those recalibrations, especially when we speak linguistically directly into where the codex has to be recoded, basically. We're clearing a lot of war codes from battle zones. We're clearing major ancestral trauma from our bloodlines, according to what's going on now. World War II timelines, the fall of Atlantis codes, and the original sin. And all of the evil of the reptilian. That all is being dispersed from the planet. It's being cleansed from the planet at this time. So activation of solar sun disks are absolutely imperative for preservation of the higher harmonic dimensions and fields. I'm talking anything from 6D and up now at this time needs to be essentially protected. Again, this is why I said at the beginning when I first came in, like if you're like you would be feeling fractured right now, like a lot of people are feeling fractured because what's happening is taking a toll on the collective whole. And when we restore our divine union with the Earth's crystalline core, this is what we have to work on, is sustaining this. Okay, sustaining the source field, the magnetic field. We entirely get rebuilt back up. Our strength and our light body repairs itself. So we're quickly going through a kaleidoscope of this multidimensional war where everything's getting shuffled very, very quickly up until June 15th. I don't think this is metaphorical in any way. It's 1000% multidimensional, and the grids are under siege from the war codes and all of the AI-driven control systems and the lingering trauma of humanity's fall. So on June 15th, you guys, we are gathering for a remote grid work mission. I hope that you guys can make that. All of the links are down in the description. To join the mission, I need my soldiers of light. I need you who are willing to walk with me and shift into that fiery and commanding place within where we are essentially focused with that group intention and can influence and reduce global conflict. We're not just dreaming of peace, we are creating it, you guys. We have to create that together. And we have to be willing to love where others hate, pray where others have desecrated. And if you felt that call to serve the earth, to offer your frequency, then you're not alone. So June 15th is our day to rise on a soul collective level, purge out the great divide, and birth the new timelines of harmony. So come and join me for that, you guys. Okay, now let's address the force breeder programs, the war on the divine feminine. Let's confront one of the darkest wounds that we are essentially healing as a soul collective, and this is the forced breeder programs, the Draco Anunnaki aligned etheric control systems designed to enslave the divine feminine through her womb, her voice, her power to create. These programs use psychotronic, psycho-spiritual, gender-based violence, physical and mental, to trap women through etheric implants like moon chains, motherhood hooks, forced breeding clamps, gag orders, okay? And lots of other things anchored into the womb, fallopian tubes, cervix, breasts. Their purpose, though, is to prevent karma-free soul births and hijack the incarnation gates and control Earth's biological stargates. They can control the stargates by hijacking the women's reproduction. So this isn't just an ancient history, this is happening right now. And there's a lot of examples that provide a lot of gravity and a lot of weight. Just look at the rape grooming gangs in the United Kingdom, exposed, where it really beginning exposed in the 2020 Rotham inquiry. And it's basically where thousands of women and girls were systematically abused. Look at the Mary Magdalene laundries in Ireland, where women have been imprisoned and forced into labor all this time. Look at the Yazidi genocide by ISIS, documented by the United Nations, where women have been enslaved for reproductive control. China's one-party policy, all of this has led to forced sterilizations. Big Pharma's forced sterilization and choline and honor killing that's occurring essentially um, through other things like Sharia law. So these aren't just modern echoes of ancient wound, it's a war on the sacred feminine to control soul incarnation rights on the planet. So please know that that's pretty serious when you start to kind of dig into the depth of this. And to every woman watching, I see you. If you've experienced rape or molestation, like the rape grooming gangs, things like this is a symptom of a forced breeder program. If you've carried grief and shame from abortions, especially if they've been coerced, or you've been tricked or fooled into it by the matrix or those holding handler positions in your life, this is a symptom of the forced breeder program. If you've struggled with infertility despite longing for a child, this is a symptom of the forced breeder program. If you've chosen to not have children and you face judgment, as a woman, if you've chosen to do anything and you face judgment and criticism, symptom of a forced breeder program. If you've had children but endured abuse and loss or the hijacking of your motherhood and forced to bear it all alone, your pain is valid. This is a symptom of the forced breeder program. These are all symptoms of the forced breeder programs. The porn industry, the Bonnie Blues, okay, everything that you see distorted, the LGBTQ plus forced breeder program. But your worth is not your womb. You are not defined by fertility, age, or past trauma. You are a sovereign harmonic, a radiant field of wisdom and coherence. And all of this is teaching us that post-reproductive years are not a decline, but an inversion, a harmonic feminine implosion where you become the earth herself. You only become more as a woman. You never become less. This is what they want you to believe. They want you to believe you're becoming less, especially as you age. So you are entering your prime frequencies right now, and love will not just find you, it's going to remember you. And this is where healthy divine feminine and healthy divine masculine healing isn't just for women, but it's also for men. You are called to. The divine masculine has been wounded by the same control systems, forced into roles of domination or disconnection. And your role is to hold space and protect the sacred feminine and restore your harmonic resonance. And through both men and women doing this, we can clear all of the sexual misery implants, basically, that are it's basically the way to unplug from the reptilian hive mind and anchor Sophia plasma codes, flooding the earth with divine feminine light. This is another significant point in the healing of the earth and the grids. And the Syrian sun and the Alcyon sun amplifying the mother frequencies to hit our cosmic alignment peak in 2025. This is what's missing from the healing at this point is these energies have been massively taking a hit because the forced breeder programs have amplified over the last year on the planet times 100,000 while no one's paying attention. And how you know they've been amplified is a lot of people are dealing with so much dark night of the soul. The holy wound is raging within the persecution and crucifixion. Deep pain that you may feel from loneliness and fatigue of carrying yourself without being carried. The betrayal of the divine as you witness a world trembling around you with cruelty. Children murdered in wars, women being brutalized, and the earth is being desecrated. This is the holy wound. This is coming from the rifts. This is a collective humanitarian dark night of the soul. And I guess my warning has been in some ways that the new earth again has to be the grid warriors of light have to come forward to sustain the new earth and the new freedom codes that come along with it, or we will transgress back into a dark age. And that is represented by the coming of Islam. Islam represents the Dark Age, where all women are subjugated and locked down entirely and severely under forced breeder programs. So if you're feeling all these things, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a message that, and it's a rite of passage that every mystic, every indigo, every empath, every seer, every truther must harmonize the Earth's frequencies at this time. We have to activate the 144th harmonic. Sickness is a phase and incoherence, and we are healing coherence right now globally. So don't feel like you're weary. Don't feel like you are broken. Pick yourself up from whatever fracture you feel and keep pushing forward from unharmonized frequencies. Remember, grief is in the tissue, betrayal is in the nervous system, and loneliness is in the heart field. But none of us are alone, and we're all coherent in a world that is not. So this is what we're up against. So what do? We grieve, we rage, we feel that humanitarian betrayal deeply, and then we love anyway, and we keep working within Gridwork and become the spark of the world that the world failed to give us. We reignite the spark. We hold the light, not because it's easy, but because we know what it's like to be without it. And this is holy work. This is the holy work. You are the flame that hasn't gone out, even in the midst of rain, thunder, wind, lightning, Armageddon, and Manhattan projects. Okay? So come and join the Gridwork mission. Or if you're healing the womb, okay, come and do a Lemurian regression session with me. And go through the sacred process of clearing the ancient force breeder implants. As this is one of the biggest things we can do is remove and unplug more from the hive, more from the control matrix, and continue to remove all of the persecution and crucifixion wounds as well. Come and do the implant and seal removal certification course. All of these are geared toward removing J seals and Draco seals to empower and heal your lineage and the Earth's ley lines simultaneously. Something we've done most recently is over in the core of the Draco hive, we did a sexual misery implant removal and forced breeder implant removal from the Draco hive, from Stargate, from SS10. All of this has scientific backing. Science supports this grid work. You just have to research things like biofields, heart math, electromagnetic fields, everything, the influence of the environment, collective intention, transcendental meditation studies. Through transcendental meditation, which is one thing that grid work definitely is, that's been proven to reduce crime rates in cities by up to 20%. Our grid work amplifies this. It targets specific rifts and stargates to shift global consciousness. So June 15th is the mission. This is when we need to come together. All of this will be down in the description so you can come and join. Just asking for a donation to come and join and come and work with us to harmonize, focus on harmony. And we'll share all the protocols for this remote gridwork mission in the description of the mission itself. Also on my Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel, you can join the mission there. But this is our chance to rewrite these timelines, to say no to the war codes and the AI control, and say yes to the new Earth. And I feel like we're all standing really tall in the final hours of reclamation. The womb of the earth is calling. The womb of humanity is crying out for justice. We can no longer look away. We have to work where the healing requires and calls to us. Women, you are sovereign harmonics, radiant beyond your words. Men, you are guardians of the sacred, called to restore balance. And together, we will heal from the root. Okay, guys, so I will see you on June 15th. Be the spark, be the flame, book a session with me. And I love you all so much. I'm holding so much sacred space for you with sacred fire. And see you guys in the grids.